Live here.
Okay.
All right, we're live in the Florida Wrestling Room with, oh, here comes Ricky. So timeout, Florida Wrestling Room. We're going to allow Ricky to come on here so that we can get the one and only Florida Wrestling Room creator. And so needless to say, Ricky's coming on. We're here with legendary coach, Florida coach, United States Wrestling. I mean, whatever you want to call it, he's been worldwide. He's got a son going off to Iowa, four-time state champ. Just won his seventh straight state title over at South Dade. It's Coach Bretli Reyna. You guys know him affectionately as Coach Duck. And he's taken time out to get on today with Ricky and myself. Hey, Coach Duck, how are you, sir?
Doing great, Dan. Just another day, locked up, and I make jokes with my wife and my friends, and like, hey, I never had a mental issue. I think I'm developing one now,
Sure. Yeah, I think we're all at that point. It's pretty good, and I know that we'll touch on a lot of this stuff, and I'm sure Ricky, being a wrestling historian, I'm just a fan. He's a historian, but I know that
yes,
we'll talk about your amazing state champ camp and your Gladiator Club, which has created a ton of talent in our country. We'll talk about your obviously with your son and the success he's had. That's been incredible. He's really done Florida proud, and his family and his school. And then obviously the success you've had at state this year. And whatever Ricky's got in turn. Ricky, what are you going to talk about? But I mean, before we even get into that, talk a little bit about your season, the success you had, your son.
Pretty much season wise, it's you have your ups and downs just like any other team. I guess the main goal is grades. Keeping kids academically eligible. Next thing, it's the injuries kind of can bite you. In the beginning of the season, late in the postseason. So you kind of gotta know how to manage your training as you go. Our biggest downfall is kind of it's we, I guess, just like a lot of good teams, it's we work hard, we bang each other so hard, and our kids have so much pride that giving up a small takedown, it's like they fight for it. We're like, hey man, watch your knees, watch this, and so it's just that's something. It just comes from prior wrestlers that have been in there, that they just go and go and go, don't stop.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you had a lot of success this year. I mean, talk about the Super 32 with your son. I'm sure Ricky was going to ask that, but that had to be a great feeling. And it felt like he was in the newspaper all over the state, not just for South Dade, but for Florida wrestling in general.
Yeah. I guess as for me, as family and my son, we're laid back. We're humble. I guess we work hard, and I guess people realize that, hey, these guys are working, but we don't advertise. You never see me, I guess, advertising about my son. If it is, it's mainly my wife. It's her Facebook, but my name on it. So just for people to know, so if things go wrong, then it's not me.
Yeah, but being a parent myself, I know, like the beginning of this year, nothing to that level. My son got his first ever wrestling win, and I was crying like a baby. So I could imagine at the level you're at right now, seeing those type of wins, it had to feel good.
Yeah, pretty much at I guess going into Super 32, we had just won Michigan Grappler. We came out for Fargo. We ended up taking seventh at Fargo. In Greco. We were about one or two matches away from freestyle matches we could have won, but things just didn't work out. And like I tell my son, hey, we got to get what's next best thing there, and Greco was there. We're in the thick of things, a couple of calls here and there, and we fell down to seventh. He finished strong. He took seventh. After that, on a plane coming back, and you can see a big difference in my son. He's like, Dad, man, I'm gonna start working hard. I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna start doing this right. I know I've been slacking off. So he kind of took accountability for his own actions, that, hey, you know what? I'm good, but I know that there's kids that are way better than me and doing the right thing. So he kind of took accountability for his own actions of, you know, things weren't working out the way he wanted to. Um, so
And
basically he
that's a big step. That's a big step because that shows maturity. I mean, you had to be proud with that.
yes, definitely, Ricky. In that sense, you know, we came back, we worked hard, we started lifting a little bit, you know, going back and watching videos, you know, and we kind of fixed a couple of things going into Michigan Grappler. You know, he cut some weight down, you know, and only because he said, "Hey, Dad, I'm going this weight," which I think it was 140, if I'm not mistaken. You know, no, actually 138. You know, whatever the Michigan Grappler was, I think it's 138, if I'm not mistaken. You know, so he cut the weight down, and he was about 3 or 4 pounds, 5 pounds away from the night before going up there to weigh in, and he kind of wanted to break. You know, he's like, "Hey, Dad, can I just go up? I'm done with this." I'm like, "Nah, man." I said, "You know what? I always let you get away with not doing things. At some point in time, I gotta be a man of my word, and you gotta be a man of your word, and you gotta make what you said you're gonna make, you know."
Yeah,
So
accountability.
yes. So finally he's like, "Okay, Dad," you know, and I kind of broke it down. I said, "Look, man, you might eat a little bit here, go for a run, drink some water, you know, your meals are gonna be cut back. I'll run with you. We do what we gotta do, but you're gonna make it. You know, trust me, you know." Um,
That's awesome. And coming from you're a 3-time state champ, and you're sitting there next to your dad going, "Man, I'm not good enough. I need to do better." So that says a lot about obviously where he is. I know, Ricky, I don't want to take the whole thing from you. I got so many questions being a Miami kid, and I know the history of South Dade, whether you're a wrestling fan or just a fan of kids in general but I know the things that you guys do in the inner cities and with children down there and intramurally and with your clubs is just, I just want to say it's tremendous, man. And you've given a lot of kids who wouldn't have had a home or wouldn't have been able to have an education or wouldn't have had an avenue over the last 20, 30 years. You guys and your programs down there have really done wonders for those kids. So from me, thank you.
yeah, no, awesome. Um, but yeah, I guess long story short, he went to Michigan Grappler, he made the weight, he ended up winning it. He beat two ranked kids on flow, all Americans, you know. At one point he wasn't ranked, you know, so he ended up winning that tournament. We come home, you know, a week later, it's Super 32, you know. Uh it's amazing how a kid can gain about 15, 20 pounds in 2 days,
Yeah.
you know. He binge eating. I don't know what was he hiding out and eating. I don't know. You know, finally, you know, where he got pretty big. So, you know, he started cutting back down that night when we got back from Michigan Grappler. He got on a treadmill, started running, you know, put on his sweats, whatever he had to do. About an hour, he called me. "Hey, Dad, I just spoke to Coach Balmaceda. I want to talk to you, and I'm going up a weight class." I'm like, "Son, this is Super 32, man. All these kids are cutting down from an arm and a leg to come down
Yep.
to a weight class that they'll never see in the rest of their life, you know." And he's like, "Dad, trust me, man. I'm going up. I'm going to win this tournament." And I'm telling you now, but trust me. I'm like, I was a little bit upset. You know, I kind of left. I left the garage. I went upstairs. I talked to my wife. My wife, "What's wrong?" I said, "Man, this kid here, man. I don't understand." You know. And then finally, my wife's like, try to talk to him, and my wife's a little bit harder than me. "Hey, you're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. You're gonna do this." So we're both on the same page, you know. And finally, you know, I went to sleep. I woke up, and I saw my son. I said, "You know what? What do you want to do, man?" He said, "Dad, I'm going up, man." I said, "You know what? All right, man. I'm on your side, man. We're gonna watch videos. We're gonna scout these kids, and we're gonna pick them apart, man. And we're gonna do it." And he said, "Dad, I'm gonna win it. Trust me. I feel that I'm gonna win it. You know, when I set my mind, I'm gonna do it." I'm like, "All right, man, let's do it."
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's awesome, man.
as the matches went on, and I was just amazed. my wife's like, "Are you kidding me? Are these kids actually wrestling like this?" I'm like, "Hey," I said, "Don't call me again. Let's wait till the tournament's done."
Perfect. Well, Ricky, why don't you take it from there, Ricky, man? I've asked a few things and we talked a little bit before you came on. So
Yeah.
go ahead, I'll steer it over to you and let you take it from here.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming on, Duck. You're like you're a great guy in the Florida wrestling community, in the wrestling community. Period. You've done so much for the sport. You and Vic both. Taking it back to the downright days. I mean, Gladiator. Dan,
Yeah,
you don't even know Gladiator wasn't Gladiator. It used to be called Downright Wrestling Club, and I believe it was started by you and Pat, right? Pat Senior.
me and Pat Lugo Senior. Yeah,
Yep. Pat Lugo Sr. and Duck, they started Downright, which was just as competitive as Gladiator was. They were kicking the crap out of everybody. And then they changed that over to Gladiator. And then it just hasn't stopped from there. I mean, just the things that you do in that area is just incredible. And it's not easy because you get a lot of hard-nosed street kids, a lot of kids that don't necessarily have a lot of money, kids that don't come from, a lot of kids that come from broken homes that don't have both parents there. To keep them on the right track has to be a challenge in itself. I mean, forget about teaching them the wrestling and the sport and how to win and how to lose, but keeping them out of jail, keeping them alive. I mean, it's got to
yeah.
be a process in itself. Talk a little bit about that and how you've managed to keep these kids on the right track.
Um, Pretty much we're on them a lot. You show them the love because a lot of these kids go home, they don't get hugged and they don't get love. You know,
Exactly.
so you got to earn your trust. And a lot of these kids, they already come with street mentality and they're tough,
Hmm.
which makes it easier for us as coaches. Other than just we got to add the right tools. Add the right tools. Every kid's not the same. There's certain
Hmm.
kids that if you learn throughout the years, I've learned watching coaches and parents and how they run their things. Like I always tell my kids, I'm a student of the game as well. I know I'm a coach, but I don't think I know everything. I like to learn from other people. And I guess to keep these kids involved is just you know keeping them in wrestling and uh teaching them the right things, man. Hey, look, get involved and get in wrestling, and you'll be okay. There's other ways than just the streets.
Yeah.
And it's good that you guys are doing that because I'm sure you remember, Ricky, you were a police officer. They used to have these PAL programs that were amazing when we were
I
kids.
still have them. Still have
and
them.
and they
Yeah.
but they used to be really big, and there was no like private stuff. The PAL was involved and they were bringing these kids in. My dad would bring a truckload of kids over the bridge into Flamingo Park all the time for football and baseball, and it's nice to see now there's individual rooms and things like that around that are still trying to do the same thing. So
Yep.
sorry, Ricky.
Yep. Exactly. No, that's fine. So, South Dade, one of the things that I noticed personally is it's a very tight knit group. The Gladiator Club, the South Dade wrestling team, it's very tight knit, and I think that comes from you guys having to kind of be, dad or mom to these kids and actually showing them the love, and like you said, building that trust. And once you have, a kid from the streets trust, it goes a long way. And
Yes.
it really does. And do you find that you're not just coach? Sometimes your guidance counselor, sometimes your dad, sometimes do they come to you and
Yes.
say, "Hey, coach, man, I got this going on in my life. What do I do?" Do you find that?
I get that a lot, Ricky. I get that a lot, man. Where kids come, "Hey, coach, can I talk to you right quick, man?" I'm like, "What's going on, man?" He's like, "Hey, this, and this." I'm like, "All right, man. Well, look, man. I'm not saying I can help you. I'm Superman. I can solve everything, but I'm gonna give you my opinion and my advice, and
Yep.
let's try this and let's see how it works out." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I guess every coach gets that. There's always someone. Every club, every high school has that situation. You know,
Yeah.
and I get that a lot.
I'm
you know?
sure you do. And it's got to make you feel good knowing that, they trust you enough to come to you, because a lot of kids, they don't trust too many people, especially, street kids. I know they just like, oh man, he's going to tell this guy, or I'm not going to do it. But to actually be able to come to you, that's got to mean a lot to you. That shows you that, they really do care about you and trust you.
Yeah, no, well, it's one thing. It's being honest with them, Ricky. You can't beat
Yeah.
around the bush. It's like I tell my kids, you know what? You suck, you suck. It's plain and simple. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You're not doing the right thing. Nah, rather than if you're lying to them, they kind of feel it. Hey, coach he's pulling my
Yeah.
leg. He's
Yeah.
really
They
not.
see through the bullshit. They do.
Yeah. So you can't bullshit. Just tell them the way it is, and you know what? They'll respect you that way. They might
Absolutely.
work harder for you. They might work harder for you in that sense. You know what? I'm gonna show coach. I'm not that type of kid. And then they start busting their asses. Hey, you know what? Great job, bro.
Yep.
Damn, I didn't know I had to tell you this, in order for you to flip that switch on.
Exactly. With the South Dade program, I hear from a lot of people. A lot of people come to me and say, man, South Dade they got guys that are JV that win state the next year. They can't break the lineup, and then the next year they come in and they're winning a state title. How the hell is South Dade doing this? And I tell them all the time. I said, listen, man, these guys are in that room busting their ass. These guys are banging. Look at the room they have. They got the Bretlis, they got the Bomacedas, they got the Lugos, they got the Earl Halls, they got the Shaquan Halls, they got all of these levels of kids that they get beat up on every single day. You either got to look shit or get off the pot. You're either going to get great or you're just not going to make it. And the ones that make it get great. And I tell them, they got kids lining up, salivating to get into that lineup. And when they finally get their shot, they make the best
Yeah,
of it. Is that
That's
true?
awesome.
yeah. It's true, man. And then, like I said, it's a lot of that's instilled in my club. I I always appreciate them. Hey, man, you guys are the next. You guys are the future. Whether you go to South Dade, whether you go to Southwest, whether you go whatever school in Dade County you go to, you guys are the future. If you stick with this, there's great things ahead of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it starts at the young age. You see my young kids, 5, 6 years old, and they're like, they know how to wrestle technique. It's not just it's not just screaming bull crap. I'm actually calling technique, and they're doing it. People are like,
Absolutely.
wow, how old is this kid? Hey, he's only 5, man. Like what? But he's too small to learn that. Nah, dude, that's the best time to teach him.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I noticed this year, with your club, with Gladiator, you got kids from every program. You got kids that go to Miami Southwest. You got kids that go to
Yes.
Columbus. You got kids that go to South Dade, Southridge, everywhere in the Matter Lake, wherever, all over Dade County. And one thing I noticed was the respect and the love that these kids had for you, because I saw with my own eyes kids wrestling after they'd win a state title. They were coming up to you and hugging you. They weren't even on your team. That had to make you feel incredible, man.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, man, because it's like, I guess these kids appreciate what you've given them or what you've taught them,
Yeah, for sure.
and it goes a long way. And a lot, like I said, it all comes back to being respectful and kids acknowledge, coach, thank you for helping me out.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think I mentioned it before. My son, the off season, I found out about CFWA, and now I'm a big believer in that program. And Daniel gets third at district, which, to Lake Highland Prep or South Dade, that's like really, but to us, we were like, woohoo. And I ran over to try to hug Palazzo. He looked at me. I'm like, okay, can I just at least do this? He's like, it's just the beginning, son, parent, whatever. So it was pretty funny, but I'd love for you and before I know Ricky gets into his 10 questions and has a little fun, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your state champ camp, when it's expected to come up this year, and whatever you want to say about it.
Pretty much my state champ camp. If whenever this COVID-19 flies over us, or hopefully things start getting better, it's July 31st. August 2nd and 1st and 2nd. It's a 3-day training camp. It's very intensive. We get some of the best kids in the state of Florida, even kids that come from out of state come in, and it's exciting to see some of the best kids in our state under one roof. You know, there's a lot of kids that go to tournaments, you know, pay their 15, 20, $30, don't get to wrestle the kid they actually want. So now here in my camp, the reason I call it state champ camp is to, hey, you know what? No one can avoid anybody. You want to wrestle him? You let me know. If he avoids you, I'll grab him. I'll put him on you, and let's do it. You know, let's make it work. We're here to make each other good. You know.
Absolutely. And it's definitely a high level camp. It's not, it's probably not a camp for the newer kid that's got 3 weeks on the mat, right? It's
Nah,
more
it's yeah, it's, you know, it's more, if you have the basics, you're more than, you're good to go. You know, now you're just gonna have to learn how to scrap when we go
Right.
live, because if you see this live goes, these kids are going at it. Like they want to fight each other. Like, hey, take it easy. You know, it's just
Yeah,
it's just camp, man. You know,
that's
but
awesome. And
but
then
yeah,
how many years has it been going now? This will be what?
this would be my, if I'm not mistaken, 2010. It going on about 8, 9 years,
Wow.
give or
And
take.
every year it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
It just gets bigger and bigger. The numbers keep rising. You know, when I first started it, you know, I had about 30 kids. Uh, you know, it was word of mouth kind of, hey, you want to come to this camp? Okay, I got this kid. You know, I got Malik Hines. I got the Conrads. I got, you know, Bezos. I got, you know, the best kids that you can think of. I called their parents or coaches, communicating back and forth. Hey, let's make this work, man. Let's bring 30 of our best kids together. You know, the Lucas Willis and the Rivera brothers.
Yep.
And trust me, I had them all, you know. So imagine 30 of the best kids that you're seeing right now in our state that are winning states. They were all there when my camp started. You
That's
know, the
awesome.
Rivera brothers, the Malik Hines, who's in college, you know, Lugo being there, Ozzy being there, you know. So having those guys in there banging, you know, and then the camp just kind of took off. It grew, you know. Kids were like, hey, can we go here? Hey, word of mouth kind of just got out, and I opened up the doors, you know, for whoever was willing to come and scrap, you know, and wanting to learn and be around good kids and good atmosphere.
So are you one of those coaches too that believes that if you have the choice between a big rumble or a Saturday tournament, go to the rumble, you're going to get more mat time, you're going to get more wrestling in, and you're going to get more during the off season than being at that maybe AAU or USA Saturday tournament?
It all depends on what, as a dad or a coach, you're looking for. You know, some kids, the Royal Rumble, I see it more of you gain more mat practice training, you get good partners, you scrap more, you get more out of it. Whereas in a tournament, you're exposing your kid to a one-on-one situation now, you know, where you're putting them out there and everybody's watching. You know, in a rumble, everybody's scrapping, everybody's going at it. So no one's looking at you because everybody's looking at everybody else.
Right.
You know, the feeling is different. You know, it's like saying my son practices.
So allow them to experience both.
Yes, because you need the commodity of that live one-on-one, you know, a referee, two wrestlers scrapping, going at it while everybody's watching, you know.
Yes, sir.
Now, you know, you get, depends on what you're looking for, but you get, they're both good situations.
Perfect. Ricky.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on one thing, and then I'm going to hit him with the questions. So I want to go back to Bretli and his decision with going to University of Iowa. You know, obviously one of the best kids in the country. I'm sure he had many choices. What was the deciding? What actually nailed him down to Iowa? What made him say, you know what, Dad, it's Iowa. I'm going to Iowa. How much did Baby Pat have something to do with it, or like how much of that? What exactly made him choose Iowa?
Okay. Technically, Baby Pat had nothing to do with it.
Wow, that surprises me.
Yes, no, we went up there. It was me, him, and my wife. We flew up there on a recruiting trip. You know, he's been up there to train a couple of times, but Baby Pat he said it, Dad, if I'm going to choose a college, it's because I'm choosing it and I want to be there. You know, I guess what made him want to choose Iowa was that when he was there, even though Pat was his host, the other guys were the ones taking him out. Kemmer, being around Michael Kemmer, Marinelli, the Bull, you know, these, Jake Warner, all these guys treat him like if he was already on the team.
Wow.
And they never, and he said that, you know what's crazy? They never brought up wrestling to me. They never mentioned wrestling to him. And that's what said, you know what, Dad? And they, and they treat him like a family, like if he was already there wrestling with them. And
That's
he said
awesome.
that they never, he said, you know what, that I've gone to this trip and I've gone to this trip. And they always say, oh, wrestling this, wrestling that, wrestling this. I came here and these guys never brought up wrestling. They just, hey, you want to go get some ice cream? Hey, let's go to the house, play some board games. Hey, let's go make some jokes. And he had fun. He was out there
Awesome.
with them and he had fun. And, those guys live, I know people say they eat, sleep, and shit, nothing but wrestling. But trust me, those people are good people, man. They're
Yeah.
very family oriented. And that's kind of what got my wife. My wife said she likes the family oriented, that bond. It's
Yeah.
kind of like what they said, if you're in the circle, you're part of our wolf pack. We'll fight for each other. If you're screwing up and you're out of that, they'll give you a boot right away.
Did she have a nice conversation with Tom and Terry and say, hey, listen, this is my baby boy, man. If I send him there, you better take care of him.
Trust me, she's outspoken. She has no hair in her tongue. She'll tell you the way it is. It's like I said, I'm more laid back, but she's more like, hey, you know what? You're ugly as hell, man. And that's it. There's
I'm,
no
mar-
beauty
I'm
in
married
it.
to a Hispanic woman, so I fully understand.
You're in trouble, man. Just kidding.
So
Just kidding.
what is his projected weight? Is he 49? Is he 33? Well, 41? No, he's probably what,
Nah,
49?
we're probably about 49, 57, give or
Okay.
take. He's
Okay.
walking around 160,
Is he really that big?
63.
Wow.
Yeah, he's I think he's eating more now being quarantined, so he
Wow.
doesn't stop. I get upset with him. Hey man, get the hell out of my kitchen.
Gee. Wow, 160. He's bigger than Bryce. Holy shit. I can't believe he got that big,
Yeah,
man.
he's
He's
big.
probably not even fat either, right? He's pretty
Nah,
just big.
it's just a lot of mass,
Yeah.
big thick mass,
How when you go, do you ever go live with him?
I go live and I struggle with him now,
Do you? That was my next
And,
question.
yeah, my wife says, "Hey, don't lie to him. Tell him you whoop his ass."
Yeah, at some point they get to a point where you just got to say, hey man, he's gotten so damn good. It's I got to do everything I can to let him not take me down, man.
Yeah, I scrap with him. I scrap with all these kids still. To this day, I get on the mat and I wrestle with Pat for about a minute or two, and then hey man, I'm done, man. I hang my shoes. I just sit to the side, because he comes down. I still scrap with him just to touch him a little bit. Hey man, I still got 2 minutes with you. Let's do it. So probably a little bit less than 2 minutes, but I'll be all right. Yeah.
And for those that didn't know you before you were Coach Duck, where did you go to high school and wrestle?
I wrestled at South Dade High School actually.
Okay, so you were at South Dade, and you're a state placer, right?
I'm a state placer. I took third. I'm
Awesome.
a 3-time state qualifier. I really didn't get into it late because I used to box when I was young.
Oh, okay.
I didn't pick up the sport till probably 8th grade, 9th grade, and then Hurricane Andrew came, so I kind of flushed out.
What was the boxing gym you were at in Miami?
It's called Jerry's Tire, but it's here in our Homestead area. Jerry's Tire Boxing.
Oh, nice. Well, I know my dad, when my dad was a young policeman and I was a kid, 5th Street was still open where Ali used to come down and train and stuff. And
Okay.
there was a lot of good boxers used to come in. And then the Miami Beach PAL used to have a great boxing program. And I don't know if you remember the old McDonald's boxing matches that would go on Collins Avenue down there on like
Yes.
21st Street. This is what, it's got to be 30 years ago. They used to set up the boxing. They used to set up the boxing ring right in the middle of the street and
Out in the streets. Yeah, open. Yeah,
that was fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then after South Dade, did you continue to wrestle in college?
Yeah, after South Day, I ended up going to a military school because I really didn't, like I said, I started late, we didn't have the clubs like they do now, the luxury,
Right, right.
So me and my best friend, we ended up going to a military school, up in Missouri, about 15 minutes away from Columbia. So we were there and finished off there, got our 2-year degree, transferred to Cumberland University where he's Jess Wilder, who's a coach at Camden County, who has a good program over there as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Camden's tough.
Yeah, so he brought us over and we started going to school there and finished off there, ended up coming back home. And, I was 4 years, 4.5. I was already back home working at South Dade High School since 2001.
Nice. And so are you a teacher at South Dade, or what do you do
I'm a
at South Dade?
teacher assist para.
Nice. So you've been there a long time, man.
Yeah, about 19 years.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, and before I hit you with the 10 questions, anything else you want to discuss about Gladiator or South Dade High School?
Nah, pretty much, just we work hard, man. That's success.
Absolutely.
Work hard and things work out.
Absolutely. Well, you definitely proven yourself. What is it, 7 state titles in a row now?
Pretty much, yes.
13 total? 13? 15.
15 plus whatever the dual team, state dual teams. I
Right.
think it's about 18 in total, whatever.
Wow. That's an incredible number. All right, so here we go. I'm going to hit you with 10 questions, 1-word answer. You ready?
Go ahead.
All right, folk style or freestyle?
Folk style.
Headgear or no headgear?
No headgear.
Singlet or two-piece?
Singlet.
Coke or Pepsi?
You got me there. Mountain Dew. Man.
Everyone says that, man. Everyone says Mountain Dew. Ice cream cake or birthday cake?
Ice cream cake.
Saltwater or freshwater?
Salt.
Rap or country?
Country.
Car or pickup truck?
Truck.
Popeyes or Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A.
Ocean or swimming pool?
Ocean.
Nice. Thank you,
All
Coach
right,
Duck.
I got one.
All
The
right.
Hurricanes or the Panthers?
Miami Hurricanes.
Yes,
All about
sir.
for you, right?
You can't
South
go
Beach
wrong
or
with you.
you like South Beach or the Keys?
South Beach.
South Beach, nice.
Can't
Yes,
even
sir.
get into the Keys now, man. They got the
Oh,
Keys
I
shut
know.
down. Holy
I know.
cow.
Yeah.
We got the heat. We got the heat, but we just can't go into the beach.
Exactly.
Oh man.
All
Hey
right,
man,
Duck,
great to talk to you.
thank you so much for coming on the show, man. We
Thank you, Ricky.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And good luck with everything. And we'll be cheering the family on down there.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. You guys have
Absolutely.
a great one.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Likewise.